So this interview is going really fast, and I know we have like a bunch of other questions.
Okay.
So can we
Yes.
kind of go that, and we'll kind of keep our answers short so we can get to it. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. Americans have lost a lot of trust in institutions, and I think there's been a lot of discussion, especially online and especially with young people. How do we rebuild that trust in institutions? The CIA, the FBI, all those institutions.
Yeah, you're right.
Some people think that one way to build trust is to declassify things that everyone's talking about. I know you talked earlier about, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. So if you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these. Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one. The other stuff I would definitely do the January 6th because, beyond all of them. Because what happened, how about the Unselect Committee? They had meetings, they had all Democrats and two failed Republicans, right? Cheney and crying Adam Kinzinger. See, Biden couldn't do this interview. Do you think he'd remember crying Adam Kinzinger? Do you think he'd remember all these different names, these different folks? And I didn't know you were going to be talking about this. But can you imagine? The whole thing is crazy what we're doing, what we're going in. I got to know the leaders of all the countries, and they're at the top of their game. They're very sharp. They're vicious. That's why they're doing so well. Honduras, all of them. I know every one of them. And they're very streetwise people. You know that better than anybody. They're streetwise, and they're smart. And they love their country, or they want to do a good job for their country, or themselves. Doesn't matter, because whatever it is. And they're moving all of their bad people into our country. And Venezuela just reported to 72%. Their crime is down 72% in a year. You know why? Because they moved all their criminals into the United States. And the next time we do an interview, we'll do it in Venezuela because it'll be much safer than being in our country.
Well, you brought up deportations in this interview.
Yeah.
How can you implement deportations, and do you think the public will have the appetite, the stomach for watching deportations on their television screen?
Well, the second part of that question is so great and so tough. Because, the radical left is going to start saying, look, so you'll get rid of 10 really bad ones. And one, beautiful mother who they think is guilty of something, and maybe she is, maybe. And it'll become a story. Or a family that's a good family and came in wrong, and, they're going to show it. Then it's going to always be tough. It's not going to be easy. And we have to use a lot of good judgment. But the way you get rid of them is the local police. The local police know these people by their first name, their middle name, and their last name. The local police are great. They're just not allowed to do their job. They're afraid of losing their pension. They're afraid of losing their wife or husband. They're going to lose their house. They're losing everything. And one of the things I'm doing is giving local police immunity from prosecution. They get prosecuted. When they do their job, they get like your soldiers. When they do their job, when they watch department stores being raided by 500 people, when guys are walking out with television sets and they're told to stand back, okay? They're told to stand back, do not do anything. And they go into these stores, these big stores that have, opened 2 years ago, and they spent $25 million to build a store. And the stores are empty down to the shelves. They even take the shelves out. They take everything. And the cops are standing there. They don't want to be standing there. They want to do their job. You know who's great? The Border Patrol. The Border Patrol, I know them so well. They endorsed me. They always endorse me. They said when Trump comes back, it'll all be better. And Biden, by the way, he doesn't need any legislation. He could say the word, close the border. That's what I did. I said, close the border. And it was so bad that it took a little while. I fixed the border originally. That's how I got elected in a way. But now the border is, and I fixed it, and I couldn't even use it in 2020. In 2016, it was a big factor of my win. I fixed it very quickly, and then in 2020, it was so good. I said, let me talk about the border. My people over here, all these geniuses said, please, sir, don't talk about the border. It's fixed. I said, let's talk about it. But nobody wanted to hear about it.
Right.
But now the border is 100 times worse than it was in 2016.
Yes.
And you mentioned those, Will asked about deportations, and you mentioned local authorities having more power. What do you do in sanctuary locales? Because so much of that is, they can't even talk to ICE, let alone work with ICE. If you're going to deport 5, 7, 10 million illegals, it's going to require
You know,
a lot
Pete,
of
the
that
people and even the politicians don't want sanctuary cities. They really don't. I've spoken to many people in California, and they're fed up. They're fed up. They can't take it anymore. They don't want it. Even liberal Democrats, they don't want it anymore. You have to end sanctuary cities. I mean, they're guarding criminals. They're guarding people that are killing people, and you can't get to them. And guys like Gavin Newsom he's a disaster. He's running it so badly. It's so badly run. And you know, I watched him on Sean Hannity's show with that debate, and he'll talk like everything's wonderful. It's great. Go California. It's not. It's doing terribly.
Right.
It's doing terribly. But somebody has to call him out. They have to call him out. But the job of sanctuary cities is it's just so horrible for our country.
I have another question on the border.
Yeah.
So in just this fiscal year 2024, there's been 74,000 unaccompanied children that have come across the border. In 2023, get this number, 137,275. You know, you've seen the images of these
Right.
children, 5, 7 years old, 9 years old, 12 years old. And the Joe Biden administration has lost 80,000 of them. No one can track, no one knows where they're at.
At least, yeah, much more.
At least, there's probably more, but at least. Will the Trump administration commit to finding these children, to finding them and returning them to their families, to their countries, because many of them have been lost into sex trafficking.
Many of them are dead.
It's heartbreaking.
No, it's heartbreaking. It's amazing.
Will you commit to that? Will you commit to finding those children in their
I haven't been asked that question, but the answer is yes. It's a simple answer. Many of them are dead. They have done such a bad job. They have done such a bad job. And, you know, they go under the guise that they're doing this wonderful job of letting people come in. You know, it's also really bad, the caravans. I think I came up with that name a long time, but where you form 25, 30, 40,000 people coming up, the level of abuse and just anger and craziness toward women. Yeah. I mean, the caravans, you know, the mothers put their daughters in those caravans, knowing in many cases the daughter's not coming back, knowing for almost certainty that the daughter's going to be raped.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
they give them large, like bottles of birth control pills, the mothers, because they know they're going to be raped on the way up all the time.
It's unconscionable.
No, the whole thing is incredible. And Biden thinks he's doing a favor by allowing. And the only reason they have the caravans is because I ended it all. People weren't getting in. We had the lowest number ever, the final week the lowest number that we've ever had, recorded number of illegal immigration. I had it down. Caravans anymore. You had them when I came in. You didn't have them anymore. It was really good. All he had to do was go to the beach and let my people do the job. Just let them stay and remain in Mexico. I had a policy. You think that was easy to get? Will, getting remain in Mexico from the president, who's a great guy. He's actually a great guy, but he likes Mexico. He doesn't like us. Okay? Tijuana was a mess. Tijuana had to be the fastest growing city. They had hundreds of thousands they couldn't come into our country until we approved them, and we didn't approve too many of them. You know, very seldom did we approve anybody. But they gave up all that stuff that I had. Catch and release, I called it catch and release in Mexico. We catch and release in this country. We'd catch a killer, know that he's a killer, and release him in our country. I mean, who would do this? Who would allow this? So we ran a great thing. If he went to the beach because somebody convinced him that he looks good in a bathing suit, you know, and at 81 or 82, typically you don't look too great, and he didn't have the power to lift those chairs. You know, those chairs weigh about 6 ounces. They're meant for children and old people to carry, and he can't carry it anyway.